Hi there, welcome back to Master of Everything on our land here in Italy in the Lazio region. Um, this is our house. Um, it's not really a house yet. It was a barn, still is kind of. Um, and it was built, we estimated sometime before the war, unclear, like maybe could be as much as 100 years ago. We've heard different reports about when it was built. Um, but yeah, it was built very well with 50 centimeter thick stone walls. Um, and we are going to be converting it over time into a residence. Um, and what I wanted to talk about is many people ask us, um, well, how did you find this place? How did you come to purchase it? And it's a very long story to some degree. Um, but I wanted to tell the story a little bit, but in the interest of illustrating an interesting point that we've been thinking about lately about the difference between not planning and research when buying a piece of property or doing a big project, and planning and research, the improvisational, more spontaneous method, and the more thought out and contemplative and slower and organized, planned method. Um, and just a bit of background on me is my personality type from a young age on is to take shortcuts, be spontaneous. Um, I'm a very much a creative artistic type. I've been doing music since I was 6 years old, and other arts as well. And uh, I've always had that personality type of just sort of create spontaneously and don't do your homework and don't do all the boring stuff. Uh, and it's led to some great results in my life. I've been a good improviser in music. I've been a good composer and songwriter, and I can improvise in front of cameras and on stage, off the cuff. Um, and there's many ways in which it's brought me a very wonderful and fulfilling life. But I have noticed how when I have had to do more planning and more research and more study for a big project, usually with the help of teachers who are pushing me to, which is what I usually need. When I've done that, also in remarkable results, of course, occurs. Everybody knows these days who's talking about life coaching and how you need a coach to push you beyond what you would usually do on your own. Very, very, very valuable, and I need that more in my life, more than ever in a lot of ways. um, and so the reason why I bring this up is our journey to this land was very much the former method that I referred to, the improvisational, spontaneous, less planning, less research, less study, kind of quick and dirty, following our intuition and the intuition of a local friend here. And we're super grateful for that. Because it did lead us here, and we did the sort of impulse buy that we ended up doing was an incredibly lucky situation because we're still here, and that wouldn't necessarily be the case if one, we had done a lot more research and planning and found out a few things that would make us hesitate, or if we were unlucky and after we impulse bought this place, we discovered some just unsurmountable deal breakers, at which point we would have had to sell the land or something. So we were very lucky in that respect. And that's kind of the big lesson. One of the big lessons for us here is that sometimes if you plan and you pause and you do more research and you look at other properties or you look at other options and you look at your opportunity costs, as many people talk about these days, of like when you make one decision, you're costing yourself other opportunities. If we were to look at all that stuff and do the pros and cons and so on and so forth, do more research about zoning of the area and all that stuff, it might have made us hesitate. And we might have sort of lost our fire and lost our impetus to just go for it. And so we're super grateful that we did the lazy person's method. The impulsive lazy person, which is a good way to describe my life as going through the world from a young age on. And so we are here. We did discover some things later on that in moments felt like, oh, this could be a deal breaker, or I can't believe this, or just like heart dropping down to your toes, just like completely heartbroken because it's not going to be exactly the way we thought we could do it because of restrictions and laws, which is a big thing in Italy. But we did, none of them were so huge that they were really, really deal breakers. We just sort of sat with it, let ourselves go through the emotions, and then kept moving forward and see what would happen. Now, one of the big things about this that was important for us is that this was very, very cheap land, so the risk was incredibly low. So that's another factor in us being able to do this and sort of jump over the cliff without a whole lot of foreknowledge. And that's a big thing. It's really important for me, again, to say how important planning is and research is and study is and going slow and contemplating and sort of letting things digest, letting things percolate in your brain and in your conversations with people who know about the thing that you're doing. This is very, very powerful and very, very important, and I would really recommend it for anybody who's buying any property in Italy especially. So basically, don't do what we do. I know that's very contradictory, but it is kind of an important thing for me to express, that especially if you're taking a higher risk, if you're talking 50,000 and up or more, we were way below that. We were a couple of low-income people with almost no savings, and we could pay for this with cash, with no loans. So that was just a situation where it was just a perfect storm. But if you're doing a higher risk, better to do research in Italy because the zoning laws are really, really strict. You never know what's going to happen with ownership. Actually, the owners that you're buying from, there's lots of reports of problems with that because land is so old sometimes and passed down from generation to generation in a family. The provenance often gets confused, and so you think you're buying from the owner, and then some other member of the family also has claim and can dispute your purchase, and then you're screwed. So there's things like that. There's zoning. Ours is agricultural land. We only found out later how restricted it is in terms of building. We're still doing fine, and we've woven our way and improvised our way through those laws, following them, but also finding out the little ways that we can follow them but still get our needs met. And that's really important. So it's been a journey, and we are learning permaculture now from a fantastic teacher, and permaculture is very much about planning and stopping and watching and seeing what happens, and learning the principles of how to conserve your resources in a really revolutionary way. And that's super important, that study. Also, there are parts of permaculture where you just have to try something and then watch and see what happens. So there's this combination in our brains now of like that planning and research is very important. We learned more than anybody else how important that is in retrospect. but we're also grateful that we didn't do it. I know it's kind of a paradox. And we're in Italy, and Italy is a beautiful place that we have very dear connections with. Lena and I met here in Italy. We have beautiful friends here, and we love the culture, we love the people, the innovation and intelligence and spirit and culture and the enjoyment of living life are what bring us here to Italy. The bureaucracy and the government and the system here is very dysfunctional. I'll just say it. And that is something that maybe people don't really know who are romanticizing about living in Italy. It is a very romantic place. It's a beautiful place to live. But if you're trying to set up a business or doing a big project and doing it, you always have to do it with the permission of different government agencies. You have to be prepared for a completely different planet of complication and chaos and dysfunction. And at the same time, there's incredibly capable bureaucrats and professionals who are weaving their way through that labyrinth of chaos. And especially in small towns, people who will make things happen fast for you if you're trying your best with the language, getting locals to help you who know people. That's very important. So it's really important for us to convey that please come to Italy and please move here and buy property. Come and visit us here, and be warned that if you have a concept that's based on the US or the UK or Germany or some other country in terms of the systems with which you have to work to create big projects, you're going to be very shocked and disappointed if you come from those other contexts. You have to be in a sort of transplant yourself into a completely different context and do a lot of breathing and make sure you've got friends and family that you can bounce stuff off of when you're going through hell, and talk to locals and enjoy the life, because as we've heard said many times, one of the reasons why Italians enjoy life so well is that what else are you going to do while you're waiting years for the bureaucrats to give you an answer on your approval for this or that? This is what we're learning. We're standing in wildflowers on our land. Our construction will start in a month or two. We've gotten through our bureaucracy, which is with a bonus, a grant that will pay for most of the main structural renovation of this house. That's a whole other story. I'll do another video about the sisma bonus, which is getting government grants to protect against earthquakes and to basically have the government pay for construction on your renovated property in Italy. There's a whole other chapter about that. It's not easy. I wouldn't recommend it, and we'll talk more about that later. Meanwhile, we're going to enjoy our sunny day. I'm going to turn my solar panels so that they're in the right direction for as the sun is moving. I'm going to go restore some old doors for a neighbor, using my carpentry skills to upcycle some doors that most people would say are something for the trash, and we're going to keep moving forward with our dream here, even though we've had to steer our dream around the labyrinth of restrictions and limitations. And we're game for the challenge, and we're here still, and we're delighted. So thank you so much for watching and listening. This was a bit of a longer one. I really commend you for powering through my long and verbose little speech about planning and not planning. And please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell if you want notifications, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.